welcome team, welcome back to reconvene projects and monitoring committee, last one of the year. And we move to page 40, Katikati wastewater disposal future directions. This is to allow staff to get some readiness for consents, etc. Peter, do you want to speak briefly to this? Any of your team before I move in a second?
I think we provide quite a bit of detail at the workshop. This is just a follow-up report with all the breakdown of the detail. There's not really, we'll just take the report as read. There's not many more comments to add.
Thanks for that clarification, Peter, on the matter. Moved by Councillor Joyce, second by Councillor Henry. No, you can speak to it now.
I was just wondering why it was of low significance, because it's a major issue for half of the district. And so why is it only low significance?
This is not setting a contract, Councillor Murray Bench. This is just getting a report ready to put the resource consent in.
So it's not an actual commitment to an option. It's an endorsement to continue to do further work on an option and to start a more comprehensive consultation process. So the final decision will be significant. At this point, the decision is only low.
Any further questions? Peter being none. Any speakers? Councillor Joyce.
Just in light of what's happened yesterday, just shows the importance of working on this and working on this as best we can. The report of the leak yesterday shows that we need to sort this out, and we need to sort it out as quickly as we can. It's a complicated issue and it is a lot of moving parts, and I'd like to commend the staff and the consultants for their hard work in getting us along this path.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll endorse that, but I'm happy to endorse the report because it's been through an immensely thorough process with strong engagement with Tangata Whenua, elected members, staff, expert advice, including engineers and lawyers. So I thank those people here now in the room and commend it for the final stages. So thank you, everyone.
Councillor Henry.
Yes. I'd also like to thank Christina for leading a very, very good process and some excellent consultants that we met along the way. Tangata Whenua reps were amazing. They were really engaged in it, and they came with lots of really good information from their field. They were in that field. And I was very grateful for Nessie saying, we've got nothing to gain from this coming over our way, but we still think it's the absolute best thing for it to go over to Matakana and out to the water. They've got nothing to gain. What I am thankful, and I sent a note to Luke, that the discharge is actually treated water. And even though there's signs out there, I think that we need to keep pushing that, because people don't realise when they see the signs down there that it is treated water that actually gets into the harbour, not raw sewage.
Councillor Murray Bench.
Following on from Councillor Henry, which is a good point, can we actually find out at some stage what the quality of the water is that is being discharged? And it's interesting that for all the consultations, poor Nessie and the Matakana community who want to actually develop houses over there, they don't have any sewage system and can't connect to this one, which I think seems to me to be slightly odd. Is it possible that at some stage they could?
Anything's possible.
Yeah, technically, yes, it is possible.
Hideously expensive?
Yes. For 300 houses. It would be. Right. Any further speakers? There appear to be none. I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Those against? I declare it carried. Thank you. Risk and status report. There's a number of pages there. Can I have a mover and second it? Councillor Ray, are you happy to move that? Or receive that? Oh, Deputy Mayor Scrum, Councillor Soul. Any questions regarding that? Councillor Daly, you had one?
No, I'll let you go home.
Let it go
I did
today.
have some.
I'm sure you'll. What's that? 283.
Sorry, I can't remember now, but I don't think there's a update on Ponkawa Bush Road, Upper Ponkawa Bush Road in this report. So I was just wondering if you were aware of the situation up there, Peter.
Changed much in quite a number of years.
I'm sure Charlene's reported back on that, hasn't she, recently?
First time you've seen it.
Well, that's even worse then.
Okay, thanks, Peter. So I'll put that all in favour. Aye, those against. Thank you, Rodney. I declare infrastructure services projects updates, 7 pages there. Page 292. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Sol, Councillor Murray Bench. Any questions? We've had a lot of questions all day about infrastructure.
Mr. Chairman, can I just say that next Thursday we've got a few agenda items for you. If you would still like a presentation from the team in terms of all of those, we can still give that to you.
Okay,
Would you
first
like
time now,
that?
probably would be appreciated. Yeah, quick gloss through. Yeah. Okay, so councillors, you're going to second vote next week.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes,
Page
only if you turn your microphone on.
Page 291 is reference there to building services activity and resource consents, and it's positive that I think that consents are not down nearly as much as was perhaps tracking at the beginning of the year, but there is a comment there. Where did I find it? We note an increase in illegal building work as people continue to preempt government reforms, and I'm guessing that's in advance of particularly things like around granny flats and the like. But I don't think it's a new issue for people to be trying to avoid paying the cost of obtaining building consents. But it did make me think when I reflected on this, and we get a lot of criticism about consents, and I know we discussed at length, and there was a lot of dissatisfaction. I hope I haven't put words in people's mouths there around having to pay $1,600 a day for a Crown facilitator to help us progress a water services plan. But we're prepared to charge more than that for a building consents advisor to work with a potential proposal. So I think we've got a bit of work to do in trying to drive some of those costs down. Even at $240 to some of the senior people were up to $300 an hour. And if you multiply that by an 8-hour day, that's a lot more than $1,600 that we charge for those services. And a Crown facilitator should have the potential to offer a lot of value. So I just share that as food for thought about how we can focus on keeping costs
Thank you,
down.
Deputy Mayor. Even though you're out of scope and in the previous report, I'll let Alison respond to it.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, well, certainly from our perspective, we are reasonably positive about the way that things are going in terms of the building and the consenting space. So we are certainly seeing some more positive moves than we have in the past couple of years. In terms of keeping costs down, we are very mindful of that, and we are working very hard to ensure that, you know, in line with what the government's expectations are, that we are continuing to look for efficiencies, and their settings around exemptions do have a follow-on impact for us as people do try and anticipate what the likely exemptions are, and we have to respond to complaints from neighbours. So what we are seeing is an increase in the number of service requests for illegal building work. So that will have an impact from a rating perspective, because those, unless, so we don't charge for complaints. And the only option for us to recover those costs is through what's called a certificate of acceptance. So those applications are able to recover the building consenting costs, plus essentially additional costs for the fact that they are outside of a consenting environment in terms of the work that's been done. So there's those things. Probably the only other thing I comment on is the average building consent takes about 10 hours worth of officer time, considering the scale of information that's provided in those consents. That is pretty damn efficient from my perspective. So I'm conscious of the costs, but we have got significant risk in that space if we do not undertake the work and the review in accordance with what's required for our accreditation as building consenting authorities. So, sorry, I just sound a little bit defensive, but we do have staff that do an amazing amount of work in that, and they are very focused on ensuring that we meet our legal requirements and looking at efficiencies.
Thanks, Alison. Councillor Ray, you've got a point.
I just have I believe there's an error in this part in the Makatu Cemetery. So it says here that there's a small weather shelter to harvest rainwater for cultural purposes. It actually has nothing to do with cultural purposes at all. We just didn't want to pay $50,000 for a water line down the bottom. So we thought we'd put up a rain collection shed, not cultural at all.
So just in response to that, the meeting we had on site was the use of natural rainwater was said that met their purposes of, that's what the meeting was on site. So apologies if that's offended anyone.
Thank you, Peter. Councillor Mobench, you've got last point of the day.
I've got 2 points.
Oh, last 2 points of the day then.
Problem with the 3 or 4 lots that are under agreement, correct, has now been let, but work is on holding, awaiting Historic Places Trust approvals? What's that for?
It's called the law, probably another box you got to tick together.
Yeah, through Mr. Chairman, the
224 sort of-
resource consent required an advisory note that council should seek with Heritage New Zealand about any requirements for an archaeological authority before the earthworks took place. And we've been going through that process, and our first application was rejected because there's a new system that requires you to have everything ticked off. There's been a subsequent meeting on site with the regional archaeologists and Peter Rako and the project manager and the subsequent and the archaeologist. So a subsequent application has been put in, has been received, and it's currently being processed. As soon as that's processed, we'll be able to wait for the 15-day appeal period, and then we'll be getting underway with the work, assuming there's no appeals.
Thank you. And the other question, sir, is at some stage, I'd love someone to comment on the potholes and when we're going to get the grader out, because I was up Namawahini and you can't move up that road without avoiding the potholes, and you have to drive through them, and it's horrific. McLaren Falls Road is the same, and so is a Manawa. So I think the second the weather is settled, we need to actually get the grader out, sir. Could that be recorded?
Thank you. You put a service request in. Right, Councillor Daly.
Sir, I have.
Yeah, just Peter, I thought last time we met that, well, maybe not last time, but that the fluoride updates said that the works were complete and we were going through a testing phase, but this report says that the works will not be completed till the end of August and the end of September, and the Ministry of Health approved a new compliance date of 31st of January 2026. Can you just confirm that when we're going to turn the fluoride on?
And through you, Mr. Chairman, I think that's covered off in the operational report with the PowerPoint. And we had a section on all that fluorisation, so it's available for you there.
Look, I think I'll take up the CEO's offer to add this on to the next
So we'll give
meeting.
you
And
the
so this will give you the
explanation.
next few days to actually read through anything further you want to raise, and anything can be finalised at that. I'll declare today's meeting closed. Thank you all. Oh, sorry.
If you just mind, I'm not stealing any thunder of yours,
No,
Mr.
you
Chairman, but
closed my
just
meeting.
from an infrastructure services point of view, who put a lot of our business through this committee, I'd just like to extend my thanks to Councillor Henry and Councillor Scrimmager, who won't be returning or moving on from their governance role here, but just to thank you for your valued and considered input in the decision making over the years. I know sometimes it's hasn't been that easy. We haven't always got it right, but thank you for your input, and we'll miss your contribution towards the governance of this district. Thank you.
Gee, just when I thought you were going to thank the chairman for outstanding 3 years of chairing, you go and pull the rug out and
And